Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Jim Haile, Gary Fredericks, and Domenico Ciarallo. I want to ask the question, how do you recognize burnout before you get there, and what do you do about it? Gary, can you kick us off?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question in this land of pandemics. Burnout, for me, it's kind of, I start feeling that I'm not interested in work or whatever any longer. I'm tired all the time. So what I try to do is look for new ways to exercise my passions for things, get involved with nonprofits and things like that. And that sort of re-energizes me. Go away, spend some time with family, re-energizes me. And I've been doing a lot of that stuff recently. So
that's good.
That's how I would handle it.
I think it's a great question during, like you said, Gary, during what we've all gone through, Canada, USA, in the last 2 years. In my case, being an entrepreneur and being an avid cyclist, I know it right away when my schedule gets thrown off. When I rather stay in than go cycling, I know that. So what happens is, you know that things are starting to creep in your veins when your routine, which fulfills you and makes you happy, becomes a bit of a drag, or it becomes tedious, or it's really hard to get that engine going till I get out the door. So that's how it kind of permeates for me, or that's the signs that I see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in agreement with everyone. Basically, I'm not engaged, but more importantly, I'm not having fun anymore. And so I'm wondering if I'm sick, mentally or physically. And I try to figure out what's wrong. And then I'll go out and do something dumb. I'll go to Atlantic City and gamble, or I'll go to a video arcade and play arcade games. Something that will bring me back to like a childhood memory to get me out of my doldrums.
It's interesting for me because burnout seems to be one of those things that people talk about, like I am burned out, like they're there. You never hear people that are like, I'm on my way to becoming burned out. Like you don't hear that. And so I'm wondering, do we all live in a state that's somewhere on the spectrum of being burned out and you can just like jump over into burned out? Or is there a state of, oh, I'm in bliss, I'm nowhere near burned out?
I think that's a glass half empty, glass half full question. Because to me, I'm happy a lot of the time. I have a good life, things are going well, but every once in a while, I just become a grumpy old man and I start to feel the signs and I say, okay, I gotta take a deep breath, gotta do something. I think it's all in how you look at life, if you're more positive or not. For me, I love where I am in my life. And while I do get burned out sometimes, it's something I've learned how to detect and correct.
I think for me, I get tired. And also, if you're getting tired, sometimes I end up getting like head colds. And I'm wondering, have I become a teacher and I'm around too many people? I used to be the director of outreach. So I was always doing outreach events, not only during the day, but in the evening and weekends. And you're going, I'm on a merry-go-round and I can't get off. And I have to figure out what to do. So that's one way of knowing you're heading towards burnout. And if you do it too much, you get to be too grumpy, and therefore you're not going to be doing very well in fulfilling your outreach.
I don't think you can always be lit. You can't always be on. You can't always be happy. Like the weather, you've got to have rain in your life so that you can appreciate the sunny days. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to your day-to-day activities. In my case, aside from exercise, I eat poorly when I'm not, when I feel I'm being burnt out. Instead of making a really good supper or a wholesome supper, I'll eat fast food. Kind of say, well, you know what, I don't have the time. Your state of mind is not there. But like I said, you can't always be on. It's normal to have these fluctuations in and out. It's just the fact that when there's more bad days, that's when you realize you're going down that road. You're allowed to have a bad day, 1 or 2, or maybe in a week. But when you're having 4 and 5 days of the 7 days that are not, that's when you can tell that you're heading towards a burnout or just unhappiness.
Yeah, when you're not in alignment with what you really want in life, I think that that can lead to burnout. I know in the psychology space, we talk about being held accountable for something over which you don't have control. And that can lead to burnout, where you're expected to do something, but you don't have the ability to actually make decisions that make you successful at it. So that's something when I work with clients, I ask them, how much control do you have over your schedule, over your life? And in the places that you have control, are you actually using it, or are you trying to control the things over which you don't have control?
And I also think you have to determine whether this is a short-term issue or a long-term issue. And if it's a long-term issue, then you need to consider a couple things. One, can I do something on the side that will restart the fire, a hobby or a mini project, working in the community or something that will restart the fire? Or have you come to the end of the road, and should you retire or change your present situation?
I like what you said earlier, James, in terms of finding something that makes you happy. I think that's what happens is that, say it's an office related issue, you have to step out of that scenario, and could be simply just going for a walk and or doing an exercise or walking your dog or picking up the phone and talking to a friend just to get out of that headspace. But like I said, I find that your comment of finding something that makes you happy is really where you got to be putting your direction. And like you said, when you realize you're at the end of the road, you have to accept that and make changes.
Yes.
Burnout can lead to anxiety disorder and depression. And so sometimes you have to kind of be honest with yourself and say, do I need help? Do I need to contact someone who can help me? Because I don't think I can get out of this myself.
One other thing is, sometimes you have outside forces. As we grow older, sometimes we end up getting burdens of our parents in terms of caring, because you may be a caregiver.
And when you're responsible for caring for someone else, you have so much responsibility on top of your everyday life, and that can cause burnout if you don't have ways to manage it. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like I get burned out in bursts where I'll have a day where it's fine, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't deal with this. And if I let that continue, it'll lead into days and days of being overwhelmed. But if I can catch it in the moment and do something about it, and in Tai Chi and Qigong, there's this thing where they call shaking the tree. And if you literally just take a minute or two and just shake your body, some of that negative energy can get out and it can reset you. And it sounds ridiculous, but I have CEO clients who do it. And it actually helps with burnout because it keeps it from building up, that negative energy and overwhelm building up in your body in a moment.
We had that conversation in another quick hits where just having, like, watching the little kids having a tantrum like that and then shake off, and then all of a sudden they exhaust themselves and they kind of like catch their breath again. But yeah, what's good for them could be good for us as well.
It's like a reset button.
Yeah, just don't do it in front of too many people.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the challenge, at least for me, is recognizing it before I get to the point where I'm just completely overwhelmed. I know that for me, meditation, I wish that I would meditate every day. I don't. I want to, I don't. What ends up happening is I realize I need to meditate. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to meditate now. I wish that I could catch it before it got that bad.
Well, I think Dominic talked about riding the bicycle. And so physical activities, when I was younger, I played a lot of racquetball. So that worked off a lot of steam. And now, like Gary, I have a guitar in my living room. And I play on that, not well, but it's something physical, mental, and I can let off steam.
Gets the endorphins going. Yeah, I'm lucky because I have a partner that both of us, when we're partners in business and life and everything else. So there are days when I'm not feeling, my normal self, and I'll say, I'm just not feeling my normal self, and we'll help talk each other off the ledge a lot of times. So I'm lucky that way.
So I think the way to notice it is to just make sure you stay in the routines that keep you healthy and keep you happy, so that you don't get to that point, which, to my point, if I would meditate on a regular basis, it would be helpful. So, Dr. Heal Thyself. That is our 10 minutes. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me about burnout. And I look forward to speaking to each of you again very soon.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks.